There we are. Nobody watching. Okay, that's all good. So hopefully we get some people to watch soon. We should check the Facebook. Hey, we have Facebook too. And we do have a viewer on Facebook. Nice. Just check. YouTube is working. Hello to the lone viewer. Two viewers. What do you know? Hey, just put a comment in there, guys, if you can hear me all right, because I'm just working on a new audio setup. So, yeah, if you can just chuck a comment in anywhere that you're watching, just to say whether you can hear me or not. Well, I will assume you cannot until I see a comment. Hey, Glenn. Loud and clear. Nice one, Glenn. Thank you very much. Things are great, mate. How are things with you? Hope all is well in New South Wales. And those giant boats you float around on. All right. None of those are coming through on the chat, though, in OBS. So why not? Bear with me, guys, while I try and fix the system. So I can see what you guys are saying. I hope everyone's having a glorious day and a great start to their week. Obviously a big week for us here at Dance Floor Heretics with our Underground Session 5 show this Saturday night. And we have two DJs coming over from Melbourne, which is Dave Pham, who is a bit of a techno legend, DJing since about as long as me, since the mid-90s. And Matt Radovich, who is a little bit newer to the game, but is very well. He's been around since about 2000, so still plenty of skin in the game, so to speak. And he's also a member of the Detroit Techno Militia, which is very exciting. Those guys are pretty well known in techno circles. If you haven't heard of them, you should look them up. Yeah, so that's pretty exciting. But I'm just going to wait and see if we get a few more viewers. Just trying to get this bloody chat to work. It doesn't seem to want to for some reason. I'll just skip around. Let's go. I will stick with the Twitch because I think that's where most people will be watching. Hey, Christy, how are you? 2 streams in a day, Christy. You are, until further notice, my biggest fan. Congratulations. Or commiserations. I'm not sure which one's more fitting. Yeah, so we just launched a new competition, so I will where you can win a t-shirt just gonna find the URL so I can put that into the chat to help you guys out. Might be why nothing's working, is because I'm running 8 million things on a computer. Let's just crashed times. Okay. What? So yeah, you can enter this competition free of charge. It is to win one of 20 of the Dance for Heretics t-shirts. So yeah, just click on it. You put name in, your email address in, you click enter, you're done. You can get more entries into the draw by sharing the competition with your friends. But yeah, it's totally free to enter. And yeah, good luck if you choose to do so. Let's that. Come back to that again. Reminder as well that our Patreon has a ton of free content on it. It's not like a lot of the Patreons where you have to pay to get any decent content. Most of our content is free. You can choose to pay and you'll get additional content, but the vast majority of the content on our Patreon is free of charge, including all of our live streams. They go pretty much straight up, as well as a bunch of other stuff that is Raven Club centric. So right up your wheelhouse, right in your wheelhouse if you are here in this chat. Yeah. And yeah, so some people have asked me recently, particularly Jamie from Germany, who's one of our new Patreon paid subscribers, funnily enough. And he asked me why Laranja Grande and why BOF, why sometimes one and sometimes the other. For those that aren't aware, BOF is rave and techno. Some of you would already know this. BOF is always rave and techno, so think 135 BPM plus. Laranja Grande is house and progressive and a little bit of techno, but you think usually under 130 BPM. So like the stuff I played at Expeditions, like the stuff I play on and at Mellow Mondays, that is the Laranja Grande style. And then the stuff I play at Underground Sessions, or the stuff I'll be playing at the Phase 1 show next Friday night, is more techno orientated. So that's where you'll see the BOF moniker coming out. So yeah, if you see one or the other, that's what you can expect. It should make people's lives a little bit easier. Just because people were asking me a lot, like, what are you playing at the show? What can we expect? Sending me DMs, which I don't mind. I'm always happy to answer them. I'm just happy that people like what I'm playing. So yeah, it makes life easier for you, so that you can know what you're going to get. Yeah. So just get rid of that. Yeah, anything that can make your lives easier, I think, is probably a good thing. Particularly when it comes to that, we need a costume for differentiation. Funny you should say that, Glenn. So when I play as BOF, you'll see me in more traditional BOF wear. So a lot of cargo shorts, a lot of jeans, a lot of t-shirts, basketball jerseys, Liverpool tops, that sort of thing. And when I play as the Ranger Guard, you'll generally see me in some sort of button-up shirt. So that's how you can also differentiate. If you see me in a shirt, you can expect to hear housey vibes. If you see me in a t-shirt, you can expect to hear me bang it out. If that makes your life easier again. Of course, you would have to be at the show to see what I'm wearing, so it's probably a bit late by then. So, yeah, if that's how late you want to leave it, though, all power to you. Happy to have you at the show. What do we got? 6 viewers. Cool. 6 viewers, only 2 in the chat. So let me know you're here, guys. I love to know who's watching, and it helps me keep going. Cool. And then I thought, to start this one off, we might do something a little bit different in that there was a video released on YouTube a little while back, and it only goes for 12 and a bit minutes, and it'll give more people a chance to get on the stream, and it's how a joke sound defined 90s rave, and it's about the Hoover sound. So I am going to play that. I might pause it every now and then just to comment, and then just give me 1 sec just to shrink myself down to here. Oh, look at that. And then maximize this so that it takes up the whole screen. And then press play, and hopefully you guys can hear it.
The Netherlands, a small country in Europe known for its flowers, windmills, cheese, and its proud tradition in the fine arts, which is especially reflected in their national anthem. And this is precisely what we'll be talking about today, the Hoover. Long before this sound became a pillar of Dutch culture and a fundamental Dutch cultural export, and long before its domination of the European rave music scene, its beginnings can be traced back to the 80s, all the way on the other side of the world, in a synthesizer arms race taking place in Japan. In 1982, the Roland Corporation released the Juno 60 synthesizer, and if you watched any of our previous videos, you know that I love that Juno sound.
Fun fact, I actually have a DX7. You will see it at the top right on all the live streams in our studio area. Sorry to interrupt. Let's go back a bit. That's the Juno, which I think George has one of those. But then, yeah, DX7, which is the one at the bottom there by Godzilla. I got one of those in the studio. Yeah, fun little fact. I do love that synth. It's pretty classic.
In 1982, the Roland Corporation released the Juno 60 synthesizer. And if you watched any of our previous videos, you know that I love that Juno sound. The Juno was analog, polyphonic, relatively affordable, only $6,000 in today's money, and importantly, had preset memory, so you could save sounds, which was kind of a new thing at the time. And I guess the higher-ups at Roland weren't giving this too much thought. They just tasked their engineers to make some presets for the synths and call it a day. And apparently the engineers were obsessed with creating weird, unusual and funny sounds, specifically animal sounds.
In the old days of synths, when it was the engineers that would do the sounds, and what they would do is they would entertain each other with who could make the best animal sounds. So most of the factory sounds had names like Funny Cat and growling cats and dogs and cows, and so you'd buy a $8,000 Jupiter 8 and it would come with a cow as the first preset, you know.
This man, by the way, is legendary sound designer Erik Persing, and he was the man Roland hired to get rid of the cows and the cats and hopefully design some more professional sounding presets for their synths. It was now 1985, and the Junos, with their wooden edge panels and big sliders and switches, were not so hot anymore. Because there was a new, cooler kid on the block, the Yamaha DX7. Look at it, all modern and sleek and digital, with its fancy digital display and its beer-resistant membrane buttons. And
I did not know that they were beer resistant.
its complete lack of a comprehensible, usable user interface. But that's what everybody wanted, because it could do this. So, Roland decided that if they were to compete with their Japanese rivals, they would need to give the Juno a modern facelift. So they created the Alpha Juno. Because who needs synth controls when you can have a screen and the Alpha dial? So back to Eric Persing. Persing was now the main man designing the presets for the Alpha. And Persing seems like a good guy and a good sport, and he thought it would be great to include something over the top and ridiculous that would amuse the engineers over at Roland. So, as a joke, he created a preset, which he placed all the way at the end of the preset memory, sound B86. What the? And that was that. Persing moved on to other projects in Roland, and what there stayed hidden in the depths of the Alpha Juno's preset memory. The 80s rolled on. The DX7 dominated popular music. The Alpha Juno, not so much. But just like Roland's other famous failures, like the 808 and the 303, its limited demand meant that its price fell considerably, and so it would slowly find a place in the studios of young broke artists who were definitely not rich enough to afford DX7s or book big professional studio sessions. Roland Instruments somehow succeeded by failing in their intended purpose, and became instrumental in defining the sound of various then emerging electronic music genres. So, in May of '91, in Brooklyn, two such young producers, Joy Beltram and Mundo Music, released the track Mentas, under the artist name Second Phase.
Still one of my favourite Beltram tracks, this one. Remember when I picked it up on RNS Records when it got reissued, and I was stoked. Before that, I'd bought it on a Beltram, I think, triple pack. I paid like $70 for this track because that's how much I love it, or still do.
Did you hear that? They'd found what there and used it as the basis of their track. Now in Europe, Mentasm was picked up and released by the massively influential Belgian electronic music label R&S, who kind of specialized at finding the new cool futuristic electronic music that was being created in the States and introducing it to the European audience. And it was huge. The sound blew people's minds. It started being referred to as a mentasm. Incredibly soon after that, in August of '91, the Dutch group Human Resource, definitely influenced by the sound of the mentasm, released the track that would make the sound dominate the European electronic music scene.
So Shane, who is in the chat, just picked up a copy of this on RNS, I believe. Let me know if I'm right, Shane. The OG pressing, I believe. So congrats, mate, because that is a belter.
I am the one and only dominator. I want to kiss myself. So at this point in time, people seem to still refer to this style of music as broadly techno. But slowly, as the music became faster and more aggressive, it started evolving into many different subgenres that collectively defined the 90s rave sound. Styles such as hardcore, hubber in the Netherlands, or breakbeat hardcore in the UK, also known as the Prodigy sound. By the way, I am really bad at defining and discerning between all the different electronic genres. When rave was happening, I was still watching the Power Rangers. I cannot be beaten! So, feel free to leave a comment if you can explain the difference between all the subgenres that make up and define 90s rave culture. Thank you. So, the mentasm / dominator sound was also evolving along with the music. From the darker, moodier vibes of the original mentasm to the full-on sonic onslaught of this. So still, at this point, people refer to the sound as a mentasm, but around this time, in the UK, they start calling it a vacuum cleaner sound. And in the UK, fries are called chips, and vacuum cleaners are called hoovers. So what there evolved into mentasm and would now take its final boss form, the hoover. To recap, Japanese engineers created the technology, an American sound designer used it to design the sound as a joke, two young guys in Brooklyn pioneered its use, a Belgian label introduced it to the European rave scene, a Dutch group propelled it to electronic music domination, and then the British get to name it.
We shall name it, of course, after our beloved Queen.
Rave colonization.
Oh, yes, of course. Sorry, sir.
Now, back to the original designer, Eric Persing. As we said earlier, he had moved on to other Roland projects, most notably the Diff 50, where he designed a ton of the classic late 80s and 90s synth sounds, such as Soundtrack and Pizza Go-Go. So the guy responsible for this is somehow also responsible for this. He's also now the founder of Spectrasonics. The man is a living...
I think YouTube got him with a copyright strike there for the Orinoco flow. Thanks, Enya. Thanks for nothing.
Legend. Anyway, back to the 90s. As Persing was enjoying the success of his more recent ethereal sound designings, little did he know his old creation had taken on a life of its own in Europe, dominating dance floors and causing extreme rave panic to all moral, law-abiding parents. Around the mid-90s, he became aware that the feedback they were getting from European customers was that their new synths didn't feature enough European sounds. And he had no idea what that meant. Especially when people kept mentioning the Hoover sound.
And I was like, what's a Hoover sound? Like, what is that?
Yeah.
And because that's not a term you heard in the States.
A vacuum cleaner.
We got to get more Hoovers. I'm like, I got to find out what this Hoover thing is.
Even after hearing the sound, he did not realize he was the original creator.
So I hear this sound. I'm like, okay, so that's the sound. And so I'm looking up kind of just where it came from. And I find this early website that's dedicated to the Hoover. And it says that the sound is made by the Alpha Juno. Right. And I'm like, and it's this preset called What The?
Right.
And I'm like, that's my sound.
But interestingly enough, even though synth technology had progressed since the mid-80s, the Alpha Juno was still the one synth uniquely equipped to produce the true Hoover. So let's quickly see how it was made. The original Hoover is created by a blend of 4 oscillators. The first is a special pulse width modulated sawtooth wave, which is unique to the Alpha Juno. Then on top of that, we layer a more traditional square wave with pulse width modulation. 2 octaves below that, a nice 25% pulse sub. And sprinkle a bit of noise on top. So here's what that sounds like. Now, we modulate the pitch of this with an envelope, starting higher than the note we are playing. And for extra thickness and width, we add that classic Juno chorus. That is a traditional Alpha Juno Hoover. But back in the 90s, many producers would sample one single Hoover note from the Juno and then play it back from the sampler. That would make the pitch envelope also change speed depending on the note you would play. Higher notes had faster envelopes. And lower notes, slower. The lower bit depth and sampling rate of the sampler would also color the sound and make it grittier. Now, with modern software, you don't necessarily need the Alpha Juno to get very close to the sound. Here's my attempt on Ableton's Meld, coupled with our own Vuth chorus in Juno mode. So as you can see, the Hoover has many forms and variations, and despite becoming a massive cliché in the 90s, and eventually being considered slightly out of fashion and cheesy, it occasionally reappears in familiar territory, or even in places you wouldn't expect. And I would argue that it is kind of the grandfather.
Having a Rihanna track in the live stream was not on my bingo card, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. It'll probably never happen again.
Of another similarly ubiquitous synth sound, the trance and EDM super saw. But this is a story for another day. If you enjoyed this video, check out our other videos right here. And if you're in the business of making music, don't
Oh, I hope you guys enjoyed that. A little bit of history. Yeah, I certainly did. It was cool. I think Glenn might have posted that in the DFH Tribe group. Yeah, Flipper, it certainly did pop up everywhere. It still does pop up everywhere, particularly with the, the rise of things like shrines and hardstyle. They use a lot of those sounds. I know I'm not telling you anything you don't know, Flipper, but for the rest of the people watching, yeah, like those sounds are making a strong comeback, which is cool because they're the sounds we grew up on, and I'm sure I'm not alone in saying that I still love that sound. As I said, Mentasm was one of my favorite tracks from back in the day, and yeah, that's where it all started. So nice one. Hope everyone enjoyed that little trip down memory lane. We had some people come and some people go, so clearly not everybody enjoyed it as much as I did. But if you're still here, thank you for hanging around. So let's just touch on some upcoming shows and gigs in no particular order. We have a confirmed date now for Expeditions 2 for those who were at the Anzac Day show that I did with George the Boss at Atlantis. I will have some more details shortly for a save the date. It's a fair way off, so don't stress, you're not going to miss it. It's not anytime soon. We're going to wait for the weather to get a little bit better again. But yeah, we have locked a date in at Atlantis again. We will be doing some additional work on the PA before we put that show on as well, as we weren't 100% happy with how it sounded once people were in the room. It sounded fine when we did a sound check the night before, but once you fill the room with 300 people, that changes the acoustics a fair chunk. So we will be looking into that, either driving those subs harder, because there definitely is enough subs in there for that room, but if they won't let us do that because they're their subs, we will bring more subs and then we'll drive them as hard as we need to. There's the Christmas in July show, which is on July 25th. That is a free show, but as an FYI, you need to register to get tickets. We will have details about that after Mellow Monday, which is on the 8th. So once I've got Mellow Monday out of the way, I will be setting up the website that allows you to register for free tickets. You can either register for free tickets or you can pay $30 on the door. I don't really mind which one you choose, but if the cost of living crisis that they keep talking about is accurate, which I totally believe it is, then getting a free ticket sounds like a pretty good deal to me. So yeah, that one is July 25th if you're writing these things down. So far we have, so it's H as in H-bomb as in Leighton, depending on when you met him and what you know him as. It's his 50th birthday as well. So it's his 50th birthday and it's a Christmas party and it's all free. So you get the presents. All we require is your presence. Hey, play on words, bluffer. Then Glenn, I will get to New Year's Eve in a sec. Then we Oh, sorry, I was talking about Christmas. So Christmas in July, 25th of July at Cosmos Club. We are hoping to have both rooms operating. We will have techno in the main room, and then probably like progressive house in the second room. I'm just trying to organize the second room as we speak, but the main room will have Corey, SF, Devious, H, myself, DJing. So we'll be going from, I think, 8 until 2, so 6 hours. Yeah, so that should be a good one and totally free as long as you register. Cosmos definitely does have 2 rooms. I don't know, you have to write these things down. I didn't, Christy, but you're a similar age to me, so I assume most of us write these things down. Yeah, I remember his 21st as well. I remember my 21st, and that was 30 years ago this year. So yeah, February 4, 1996 was my 21st. So yeah, a hot minute that has been. So that's the Christmas show. We will, as soon as I've got the details locked in for that second room, I will release all of that information in the usual places. I do want to start doing these things more regularly now that I had some issues with the setup that just wasn't clicking right, but I've got some headphones you may have noticed now so that the mic doesn't feed back, so I don't have to constantly be adjusting things, and that I can hear what's going on the screen like we just did with the YouTube video. So yeah, and then so now coming into shows that are coming up very rapidly. Mellow Monday Live 3 is on June the 8th. That is the housey vibes. So that's a Laranja Grande show with DJ Moshman providing support. 2 hours from him, 4 hours from me at the Garden Room, at the Marion again. We bring the PA, we bring the lights, we bring the people, you bring the vibes. That should be another excellent day. That one will be 1 p.m. till 7 p.m. because it's on the Monday of the public holiday. So we finish early so you can go home and get some sleep before work on the Tuesday if you choose to, or you can kick on like a lot of people did. Third room is the toilet. There's actually 4 rooms then because there's male and female toilets, Flipper. Yeah, so tickets are available for that one. There's also the Phase 1 show, which is a new group. That's Bobby McKay, who, if you were at Expeditions, you may have been there late enough to hear him play. He played after Accent of Sound, which is James Corbett. He played the closing set from 2 a.m. till 3:30 a.m. Cracking set. I'll be playing at that one as well, alongside Lick and Touch, Matty B, who was also at Expeditions. He played the opening set, and Johnny Concept. So I'll be playing kind of at the chill end of techno for that one. So think around 130, 135 BPM. Still some vocals, that sort of thing. And then on Saturday of this week, we have Underground Sessions 5, which is rapidly approaching. So if you don't have your tickets for that yet, get onto that as quickly as you can. There are 2 DJs coming from Melbourne, which is Dave Pham, who has been DJing, I think, as long as I have, easily, close to anyway. That's over 30 years of techno history right there. Then Matt Radovich, who's been DJing about 25 years, is a member of the Detroit Techno Militia, has an amazing history in the eastern states, but hasn't really played over here very much. So you're in for a treat. And those guys are doing a special one-off 3-hour back-to-back set. This is something that you may never see again. So if you enjoy techno, this is not a show to be missed. And that's on top of 8 locals as well. So we have just locked in Ampium. We lost Yaks, unfortunately, but Ampian will duly fill that spot. He's a great young DJ. George is his actual name. And yeah, he'll do a great job. Maestro D, SF, S4T, Devious, and then H and Lissy are doing a 2-hour back-to-back Shrans set to close the night. And then obviously myself. So yeah, really strong local lineup, super strong interstate lineup. And then only room for about 200 people there. So yeah, jump in, grab your tickets if you haven't already. There's plenty of discount codes floating around as well. If you want to get yourself one a little bit cheaper, just ask around, you'll find somebody who's got one. And if you don't care, buy a full price one and do me a favor, because this one's an expensive show. This show, for context, is over double the budget of every other underground sessions. So yeah, just because we're putting a PA in to Cosmos Club, so that's a big expense, because we are doing a whole new layout of Cosmos Club. So if you've been to Cosmos Club before, even if it was just at our Underground Sessions 4 show, or any other show, generally, or Satiric Mass, which I played at in January, the DJ booth as such is kind of tucked inside some other like seating booths on one side of the room, and it's a bit messy. Last time we put the decks just at the front of that area, and then made kind of that booth area VIP type area. We're not doing that this time. This time we're putting a stage on the opposite side of the room, tucked in that little alcove. Those who've been there, there's like an old open fire. I'm pretty sure it no longer works, but in that area there'll be staging and a brand new PA that we're bringing in, some more lighting, all the good stuff. So that's additional cost. 2 DJs from Victoria, that's additional cost. So yeah, we've gone big on this one, so I'm really hoping you guys can get behind it and help us out. Grab your tickets. It'll be a great show, so it's well and truly worth coming. As I said, the guys from Melbourne are doing something that you won't probably ever see again in Adelaide. So yeah, 3 hours back to back with those guys will be epic. And then the other additional cost is we're doing the trading cards again, but this time so at Still Smiling. If you're at Still Smiling, we did the trading cards, but we just color printed them on like an inkjet and laminated them, and that was the card. These are being professionally printed like a proper trading card. Think like either a sports card or a Pokemon card, or any card like that. So they're on the 35 stock card with a satin finish. They look full profesh, and the only place they'll be available is at this event, and they're totally free. So if you rock up, you get cards. So it's all part of the experience. You don't get all the cards; you'll get a couple of cards, and then the idea is that you trade with people to get more cards if you want more cards, or you swap them for drinks, or you swap them for hugs or high fives, or whatever you want to do. But it's a great community building activity that we found worked really well at Still Smiling, and we hope that it works again at Underground Sessions. And if it does, we'll just keep doing it. So once again, that is this Saturday night. It starts at 3 p.m, goes till 2 a.m. So it's 11 hours of really good quality music. So yeah, it works out to less than $5 an hour. So yeah, I think you're getting a great deal. I hope you agree. Yeah, Flipper said it was a lot of fun at Still Smiling with the cards. It is going to be mega. Christy's coming. She's waiting on confirmation from Kerry. I'm sad you're missing it too, Flipper. You picked the wrong weekend to come to town, mate. But I'm sure you had great fun at Cargo. I think I saw photos of you at Cargo reunion. Put something in the chat. What was that like, man? I haven't really heard anything about it, which is unusual because I'm sure it was a big show. So, yeah. So that is Underground Sessions 5. Now, Glenn, well, before had an MRI. Okay, I hope you're okay then, mate. Yeah, you don't tend to have MRIs for good news, but hopefully it was good news if you've got the results. Yeah, so before I go on to New Year's Eve that Glenn asked about, I always do a Q&A at the end. We're 45 minutes in. So yeah, if you've got any questions for me, put them in the chat. I will happily answer them for you. And yeah, so while you guys are doing that, I'll just talk about what I'm thinking about doing for New Year's Eve. So New Year's Eve, I'll give you my reasoning behind the idea of what I'm trying to do. And then you guys, I'm always happy to take feedback. So if you think it's a dumb idea, just put it in the chat. So that's fucking stupid, BOF. What are you thinking? If you think it's a good idea, just do the reverse of that. So I'm thinking of getting a space that holds roughly 100 people. And that's because in my experience, New Year's Eve is generally a letdown in terms of a night out. I don't know that I've been out on a New Year's Eve and had a killer night since the 90s. And that was probably mid-90s, to be fair. It just always seems to be just way more hyped than it deserved to be. And this is just my experience. And as a result, I really haven't gone out on a New Year's Eve for a long time. Like, I'm talking decades. Yeah, so this New Year's Eve, I'm thinking of getting a space that holds roughly 100 people, doing a strictly invite-only party. There'll be no free tickets so that we can cover our costs because there's only 100 people, but it will be cheap. Like, think 15 to 20 bucks for, like I said, like probably 8 till 2 again. And it will be Laurent Grand and BOF and guests. So the night will start off with myself in my Laurent Grand get up with a collared shirt, Glenn, playing house, progressive house, and so on, with some of my good friends who are DJs who play that sort of music as well. I've got some guys in mind, but I haven't spoken to anybody yet. So Laurent Grand back to back with BOF, it would work except for the BPMs. So yeah, getting some of my friends who, some of the guys who played at like Expeditions at the Mindshift show on Friday night of next week, those guys to come in and do like the first 3 hours with me. And then the final 3 hours will be when the BOF stuff kicks in, which would be 11 till 2. So that will cover the midnight portion. And that will be some of my techno friends that come along and play with me. Once again, you would have to have an invite to get a ticket. And there would be no free tickets. Obviously, if you're working at it, you can come in for free and bring a guest. But yeah, not the wholesale giveaways that we often do for these sorts of shows. So just to keep it super intimate and make sure that everybody who comes really wants to be there, really wants to be a part of something unique and special and safe primarily as well, because I know that New Year's Eve tends to bring the worst out in some people. None of us, obviously, and none of our crew, but when you are traveling the streets of Adelaide, or if you're in a large venue, if you're a venue with 500 plus people, there's a good chance that there's a few dickheads in there. So we will, by making it invite only, we will certainly limit the chance that happens. If in any room I'm the scariest, biggest dickhead there, then we're doing all right. So yeah, you made it. What did you miss? You missed a bit, mate. There's a competition in the chat for some free t-shirts. I mentioned our Patreon's had an upgrade with a ton of free content. I explained what Laranja Graham versus BOF is, but I think you already know that. We watched a YouTube video on the Hoover sound. Then we talked about Expeditions 2 now has a date, but it's not until way later in the year, so don't stress about it yet. The free Christmas party. Oh, you were watching on YouTube. Okay, cool. Well, then you didn't miss anything. Why are you asking what you missed, Tripper? Yeah, cool. So that's what we're thinking about for New Year's. I've already got some people in mind for the guest spots, if they're willing to do it. But yeah, I won't mention any names until I have them locked in. Yeah, so I'm hoping that appeals to people. But if, like I said, if you think it's you think it's a dumb idea and you're not comfortable saying it in the chat, DM me, because I need the feedback. I don't know it's a dumb idea. If I think it's a good idea, it doesn't mean it's a good idea. And the market is always right when it comes to these things. So you can't complain that people didn't come to your show because it was stupid. If they didn't come to your show, it just didn't appeal to the market, and they're in charge. So yeah, cool. So also Christy's coming and Maya's psyched about it. So there you go. That's 2 of the tickets gone. So we only need 98 more. Nice. Yeah, cool. I might find a space that holds like maybe 150 and then only do 100 tickets so that it's comfortable. What do you think about that, guys? Let me know in the chat. Did anybody have any other questions or anything? I didn't see any. I got so fixated on Glenn asking me to change shirts that I let me just scroll back. No, I didn't miss any. Christy thinks it should be more expensive. There you go. No, I want to keep it cheap because everybody's struggling. And if I find a venue that has a PA and has lights, I should be able to get away with paying the guys that are guesting a little bit less than usual because they won't be playing like full sets of their own. And so if I can keep my costs down, I'll keep yours down. I don't need to make a ton of money off these shows, just enough to get me by. So yeah. Any questions, guys? Doesn't look like it. As usual, I will end on a little, I don't know, something I've observed about the world at the moment. So, no doubt all of you have heard about the 24-hour news cycle that we all live in, where things struggle to stay in the news for 24 hours, and the news is always there, so we're always getting bad news, basically. So if something bad happens, you hear about it as soon as it happens. You don't get a break like we used to for those who can remember the 80s. The news was on like once a day, around 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock if you watched ABC like my dad. And that was really it, or the newspaper in the morning. Now it's 24/7, which can be a little overwhelming. But I've also noticed that something, and you guys tell me if you think or if you have seen this as well. I think there's the I hate this term, but mainstream media seem to have us in a 7-day rage cycle at the moment, where they will tell you what to be angry at for a week, and then it switches to something else. So I noticed this. Yeah, we certainly do have an amazing community, Flipper. I was talking to those who know Ben Ferner. I was talking to him either late last week. Yeah, it would have been last week because it's only Monday. And he sent me some memes about some political goings on, and I was just like, man, the world is fucked. But thank Christ for music. It's what keeps us all together. Yeah, sex and drugs at 1600 go wild at rave party, right? They're constantly telling you what to be angry about, right? And then a week later they tell you something new to be angry about. So, like a couple of months ago, we were all angry at Albo because we were going to run out of petrol and diesel, right? And it never happened. And then I might not get these in order, but and then we were all told that we had to be angry about ISIS brides coming into the country and going straight into the community and wreaking havoc and sowing the seeds for terrorism, and that didn't happen. they were immediately arrested by the AFP. And then we were told that we had to be angry about the budget because the budget was designed to fuck everybody over. And then that was last week. So I don't really watch the news, so I'm waiting to see what we're told this week that I have to be angry about, which I won't be angry about. But like if you look back on all these things that, and maybe you didn't get angry about them, I didn't, but a lot of people did. And if you look back on all those things that all these people got super upset about and ranted on Facebook about, and like just, and then a week later they don't. It's probably not fair to say they don't care about it, but a week later they're not even talking about it anymore. Yeah, it's wild to me that people will expend that much energy on something that a week later they don't seem to really care about anymore. Like if something is going to make you that angry, it should keep you angry for a while. Like if you're angry about kids getting bombed in the Middle East, then that's justifiable, and you're probably angry about that for a long time, and you're probably still angry about that. Yeah, my Zuckerberg did you a favor suspending your Facebook. I turned my Facebook off. I've talked about this on this stream before. Is that I have a rule now that if I see something and I think it's been manufactured to make me angry, or if I think maybe it hasn't been manufactured, but putting it in front of me is designed to make me angry. So either Facebook or YouTube have put that there specifically to upset me, I turn the platform off and I don't come back for hours, if even that day. And I think that's because they do it on purpose, because they know that if it bleeds, it leads was the old thing back in the 80s again, or the 90s for the news. And they have a similar thing going on, but they just farm interactions through negative emotions. And I don't want to play that game. I don't want to be stuck in a cycle of being angry or sad or disappointed constantly every day of the week. And so, yeah, I just turn it off. And I recommend you do the same. You do whatever you want, but that's what I recommend. Yeah, we were told Kanye was going to tour, but then he wasn't allowed to tour because he said a bunch of Nazi shit. So that's kind of on Kanye, Flipper. Yeah, I think well, like I said, I don't follow the news very much, but I haven't heard Kanye mentioned in a negative sense for quite some time. So hoping that, because obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but for me personally, it seemed to be that Kanye had some mental health problems going on. And it seemed to me that Kanye didn't have the right type of people around him to pull him up and tell him to get some help, which is kind of sad. But I guess when you've got the sort of money he has and the kind of clout, you tend to get surrounded by people. Well, maybe you don't, but you may choose to be surrounded by people that tell you what you want to hear. And those sort of people aren't going to say, hey, dude, you're fucking up. You need to go talk to somebody because you're in a bad place. And everybody needs those people in their life, myself included. Yeah, I mean, the Kardashians as a clique are pretty famous for well, we can't necessarily lay it on the Kardashians for breaking these men, but they could certainly be looking for those or be attracted to those sorts of men that are either already broken or easily broken. Yeah. So yeah, because it wasn't just Kanye. It was remember Lamar Odom? He was a star basketball player who got found overdosing in a brothel. Was married to Chloe. Yeah. So yeah, and as I said, everybody needs those sorts of people in their life, myself included. So if there's ever a time where you think I'm out of line, you are welcome to pull me up. I have no problem with that. If I don't think I'm out of line, though, I'm going to tell you. But yeah, I am not perfect, and I am not immune to making mistakes, though I do my best not to. Cool. Yeah, like the negative news gets blown out of proportion. Like I said, it's just everybody be angry about this for the next 7 days. And I mean, I'm sure of it is a lot of it is a distractionary tactic. All right. So we got everybody's angry at the ISIS brides, right? Or the budget. They're not really noticing all the shady shit that like the super rich elites are getting away with, you know. Because a lot of that news comes from Rupert Murdoch, right? And who is a well-documented piece of garbage in terms of being a human being. So, yeah, anything you get from one of his controlled sources, whether it be a TV station or a newspaper or a YouTube channel, because he's got his filthy little fingers in every pie, you really need to take with a grain of salt, because they basically admitted in the those trials in America, they admitted that they lie if it brings them ratings. They quite openly admitted that. In fact, they said that nobody should watch. It was Fox News, but you can put Sky News in the same category. They said nobody should watch us as a news channel. We're just commentary. We're just there for entertainment purposes. So, and that they didn't get away with that. They got fucking, what was it, $61 billion fine or something, or they had to pay Dominion Systems. So thank goodness that happened. But yeah, they openly admit that they're not a news service. So why would anyone believe anything that they ever say? Yeah. So yeah, look at this, look at that. While I do that over there, yeah, 100%. Be angry about some 4 women coming back from Syria or wherever it was with their kids and going straight into federal custody. Be angry at that, but don't be angry at us destroying the environment. Don't be angry at us ruining the economy so that we can make some more money, even though we've got hundreds of billions of dollars. Like, these people are sick in the head. And yeah, stop buying into their game is what I would suggest. That, yeah, this isn't a conspiracy theory. It's documented fact. These people would sell you down the river for an extra $5, even though they're already stupidly rich. So yeah, cool. On that note, unless anybody's got any questions, I will leave you with it. So yeah, remember this Saturday night, with the exception of Glenn and Flipper, who would both have to travel significant distances. Hope to see you all. Well, I hope to see you guys as well, but I realize it probably won't happen at Cosmos Club on Saturday. What's the capital of Peru? I have no idea. Oh, there you go. Glenn's in Singapore. Oh, Glenn, you're seeing Jeff Mills soon. Is that in Singapore? For some reason, I thought you were in Japan for that. But yeah, Lima sounds right. Apparently, he was amazing in Sydney. So I'm kind of spewing that I don't know, that didn't have any money to go see him. But yeah, we toured him in 98, I think, early 98. Yeah, and he's a lovely, lovely man, which is always nice when you find out one of your heroes is not a piece of garbage. So, yeah, he's getting on. Yeah, he's a fair bit older than us. So yeah, last big tour, more than likely. You might see him pop up every now and then. No, it wasn't at Cloisters. It was at Heaven. That one, Maya. That was 98. And then we did Beltram there shortly after. Yeah, he's an incredible talent. Cool. If nobody has any other questions, thanks for your time, guys. Thanks for watching. If you've been here since the start, especially, thanks very much. if you commented and I didn't reply, that's because, well, actually, let me jump on to YouTube now and see. Oh, sorry, let me jump onto Facebook now and see if there's any other comments that that I didn't answer. Nope, no comments at all. So yeah, thanks to the one person watching on Facebook, keeping it real. And yeah, if I don't speak to you before, Glenn, enjoy Jeff Mills. Tell him we love him here in Adelaide if he ever thinks of coming back to Australia. And I will see you all very, very soon. All right, guys. Love you all. Thanks, mate. Thanks, mates, I should say. And I will be back here soon.